Greetings, friends. Welcome to the Bible in 365. Starting January 1st of 2024, we're going to read the Bible together in one calendar year. I'm so grateful that you've joined our community in making this commitment to read the Bible next year. And if you've joined our movement, you are not alone. To date, we have over 70 people who have subscribed to the Bible in 365, and there are more people subscribing each and every day. We have people who are reading the Bible for the very first time in their lives, and we also have people who have read the Bible before and they're ready to do it again. Wherever you find yourself in the journey, what we know is this: all of us will know God better, and all of us will have a closer relationship and walk with Jesus Christ as a result of spending time together reading the Bible. Now, as we prepare for January 1st, that's just 17 days away, I wanted to send this initial email, first of all, to just establish contact, and secondly, to help us get prepared for reading the Bible in 365 days. And so I want to share with you today just three simple things that you're going to need if you want to read the Bible in 365 days. So first, and probably most obvious, you're going to need a Bible. Now, there are lots of different Bibles out there. And so let me give you a little bit of thought about what you might want to do to select the Bible that you're going to read. So there are lots of different translations of the Bible. Remember that the Bible was written originally in three languages. The Old Testament is written primarily in Hebrew, and there are short sections of the Old Testament that are written in Aramaic, and the New Testament is written in Greek. And so that means that when we read the Bible in English, we are always reading a translation. And there are many excellent English translations of the Bible. So how do you know which Bible translation to choose to read from? Well, translations have different approaches. Some translations try to do a word for word approach in how they translate. So it's a very literal translation that can be a little bit difficult to read. On the other end of the spectrum, there are translations that are more like paraphrases. They try to capture the main thoughts of what's happening in the text, but it's not a word for word translation. And then there's a lot of different translations in between. So I want to share with you just a helpful little graphic that you can use when selecting a translation. So you can see that over here on the left, we have word for word translations, things like the New American Standard Bible, the Amplified Bible, the ESV or English Standard Version. And over here on the right, we have more paraphrases. A very popular paraphrase is Eugene Peterson's The Message or the Living Bible. And then right here in this middle yellow zone, we have translations that are a little bit easier to read, but they're genuine translations. Things like the New International Version, the New Century Version, the New Living Translation. Now, I want to show you right here in the middle of the chart is the NIV, the New International Version. That's the version of the Bible that I read in my own personal devotions. It's the version of the Bible that I read with our church on Sunday mornings. I like the NIV because it's a good translation that's on a readable level. It's actually written on a 6th grade reading level, so it's pretty accessible. You can choose whatever translation you like, but my advice is to pick a translation and stick with it. Now, in addition to selecting a translation, when you select a Bible, you're going to have to decide whether you want to use a good old-fashioned paper Bible or whether you want to use some form of electronic Bible. Now, myself, I prefer a paper Bible for a couple reasons. One, when I'm reading the Bible, I want to be unplugged from technology. And so I prefer to have the paper text in front of me. And I also like to make little notes and highlights in the Bible. And so for me personally, I always read out of a paper Bible. But there are many great ways that you can read the Bible electronically. And I want to share with you about one particular Bible app that I think is an excellent thing to use. It is called the YouVersion. And you can download the YouVersion for free on almost any phone or computer operating system. Just look for the brown Bible logo that looks like this. The YouVersion is great for a variety of reasons. It gives you access to a lot of different translations of the Bible. But beyond that, It also has audio files. So if you're somebody that would prefer to listen to the Bible, maybe you could listen while you were on the treadmill or on the commute to work, or maybe you like to listen while you follow along and read, the YouVersion is great for that. So you got to pick a translation. You got to decide whether it's going to be a paper or electronic version of the Bible. And then the third thing is that you need to decide whether it's going to be a plain text Bible or a study Bible that you're reading from. Now, when I do my devotions, I read from a plain text Bible. And let me show you the one that I read from. I read from the NIV Thin Line Bible. And you can see what the text looks like. The page is just the Bible text. And I like that when I'm reading the Bible because then I'm not distracted by anything else. I'm just reading the words on the page. But you may have a different preference. You may prefer to use a study Bible. And there are lots of study Bibles out there. My personal favorite is the NIV Study Bible, which is published by Zondervan Publishing. And you can see how this Bible looks different. We get the Bible text up top, but then at the bottom, we have all these notes. And the study notes are meant to help as study aids. Now, there are lots of great study Bibles out there. I love study Bibles. I would encourage you to have one if you want to do that level of in-depth study. What I will say is for the Bible in 365, we have a lot of Bible reading to do. And if you get a study Bible, sometimes you get a little bogged down in the notes and it'll take a lot longer to get through the readings. But it's totally up to you whether you use plain text or a study Bible. And then the final thing that you really need to decide when it comes to having, what Bible you're going to use is I think you need to make a decision and stick with it. Whatever you decide to use as your Bible, use that as your Bible throughout the entire year. So the first thing we need is we need a Bible. The second thing we need to read the Bible in a year is we need time. We need time. Now, you'll see that the Bible in 365 is broken down into daily readings that are about 3 or 4 chapters long. And so on a typical day, it's going to take you somewhere between 12 and 15 minutes to read the daily readings. You may want to allot a little bit of additional time so that you can also have some time for prayer or maybe some time for journaling, which we'll talk about in a second. But in general, you can get the readings done in 12 to 15 minutes. A great way to form Bible reading as a habit is to try to set aside the same time every day to do your readings. Maybe it'll be the first thing when you get up. Maybe it'll be the last thing before you go to bed. Maybe it's what you're going to do over your lunch break. But I encourage you, pick a time of day that's going to be your time, and that'll be a more sustainable way to go about it. And finally, the third and final thing to be ready to read the Bible in 365 days is optional, but you may want to have a journal. Why have a journal? But a journal is a place where you can log and record your daily Bible readings. You can also write down any questions or thoughts that you have as you're reading the Bible. And you can jot down little prayers or prayer concerns. And one of the nice things about journaling is at the end of the year, you'll have this record of what you've done. And you can go back and look and marvel at all the things that God has taught you and the journey that you've taken in reading the Bible in a year. Now, for myself personally, my journal is very simple. It's just a very straightforward journal that just has regular lined paper in there. And I come in here and I just write what I'm thinking, what I'm praying for. It might be 2 sentences in a day. It might be a full page in a day. It just depends. But I do encourage you to consider journaling. Now, if you scroll down to the bottom of this email, you'll find all of this information is documented for you. And I've also shared with you what our daily reading plan is going to be. So our daily reading plan begins January 1st, and it runs the whole way through the year. And, the one thing that I think we all need to prepare ourselves for is that reading the Bible in a year takes discipline and commitment. And all of us will experience moments when it feels like it's a slog just to get through the readings. And so to help us do that and to help us keep things fresh and keep us engaged, I've selected a daily reading plan that bounces back and forth between Old Testament and New Testament readings. And the reason for that is just to keep things fresh so that we don't get too bogged down. We want to be sustainable so that come this time next year, we're still committed and we're finishing the Bible in 365. So remember, if you want to get ready, you've got 17 days. Get a Bible, figure out what time you're going to do it. If you're going to journal, grab your journal and be on the lookout, because starting on December 31st, you'll be getting an email every Sunday from me. And that email will include the week's readings, study tools, tips, and devotions. I'm really looking forward to taking this journey with you as we read the Bible in 365.